Hello everybody, it's Chibi, and today I'm here to bring you all the weekly anime review of Charlotte, episode 4. Now, I'm not gonna deny, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm starting to notice a repeating pattern to Charlotte these past couple episodes. I don't think I'm really the only one to notice this, because the second episode was kind of where our characters were hunting down a ability user. Third episode was pretty much the exact same thing with Yusa. With this episode, it was kind of the exact same thing once again, but finding a person also used abilities, but for the reasons of helping out a friend. And so I noticed a repeated pattern going on for these past couple episodes, and I do hope very soon that Charlotte takes a little bit of a different path with its upcoming episodes, because so far from what we have gotten from this series is just episodes that introduce a character, give us some characterization, and we continue on to the next episode that does the exact same thing. So I'm really hoping that this series tries to do something very different next week for its episode, because I know some anime watchers are probably going to have an issue with the way these episodes are being executed, because it starts to feel like the exact same thing over and over and over again. So besides that, this episode, I want to say right now, I got a lot of Little Buster vibes. Like, if you've ever watched Little Busters, you most likely know what I'm talking about. Little Busters vibes all over this episode. When I saw that baseball game and all that, I'm like, dude, Little Busters. You just need that Little Busters theme song, and this was Little Busters. Just, oh my god, you needed that theme song. I miss that series, I really do. I miss Little Busters so much, but just to see how this episode was, like how it was, you know, like made in its format, it looked so much like Little Busters. Even some of the animation did, especially with the game and stuff. It was just so cool getting to feel those Little Buster vibes once again, because I love that series. Now, this episode is pretty simple, because, as I've already said, the structure of this episode is similar to how the previous episodes are, except the only main difference with this episode is that it focuses on baseball, of course, and the dude that has powers is using the powers for his friend instead of his own selfish gain, even though technically it is still cheating, because he was cheating to win in baseball. So even though the method, like he was doing it a little bit different from others, it was still the same in-game result. So the episode overall, very similar to previous episodes. There was an added mix of comedy thanks to Yusa being introduced into the series, since, you know, Yusa is a idol. Everybody's, you know, fangasming over, like, oh my god, it's Yusa, it's Mika, you know, just, you know, Yusa and they're all fangasming over her. And so that was adding an extra layer of comedy to the series. And usually it comes down to your taste in comedy if that works or not, because I feel like what the writers of this episode, when they were directing this episode and making it in anime form, I feel like the main reason why Yusa was added into this episode was just to kind of give a different layer of comedy, or a different layer of something else besides what we've gotten from the previous episodes. Because if we look at previous episodes, it was slightly dark. I mean, you gotta admit, last episode was dark, and the episode after that, or before that, was dark. And so this episode felt like a nice, good change of, I guess, atmosphere compared to previous episodes, because this was a little bit more cheery and not as bad where the stakes were really high in this episode. So, episode very different from some of the themes from previous episodes, but it still feels like the exact same thing we've gotten from previous episodes. So, I'm starting to get a little bit worried. I mean, I'm not really worried completely, but I just do hope that this series does something very different for its second half and tries to get away from what it's been doing. I mean, right now, I think it's just setting up all the key cast members and characters for it could carry on into the real beef of the story, but I do hope it tries to get out of this little format it's getting into later on down the road, because this can annoy quite a few anime watchers. I know for a fact it was annoying anime watchers last week. I noticed quite a few Chibis commenting last week about this issue for last week's episode, because it felt like the exact same thing we got from episode 2, but, you know, with a different type of style. And so with this episode, it's the exact same thing for the past 3 weeks, and I know this might bug some, so we'll have to see how that goes. Overall, though, episode of Charlotte this week, and that's comedy, and depending on your taste in comedy, you're either going to like the comedy or you're going to hate the comedy, and that really is going to be the main deciding factor if you like this week's episode or not, because everything else is pretty much the exact same thing we got from previous weeks. So tell me your thoughts in the comments below. You all have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. Chibi out.